Okay, there you go.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the special meeting of the Rotterdam Town Board, December 31, 2020. We know what tomorrow is. Hopefully the start of a new year with greater things next year than we've suffered through this year. So with that, Ms. Marco, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Christo?
Here.
Mr. Gittarelli?
Here.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Here.
Mr. Signor?
Here.
And Mr. Thomasone?
Here.
5 present.
Would you all please stand and Diane, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the
and
republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, we have, I don't have anything to really discuss outside of the resolution that we have here for the town's insurance. I believe that Mr. Carl is on the line with us. We did get we hired the same firm that we hired in the past to assist us with putting our town's liability and other insurance out to bid. USI has been recommended by our consultant to adopt their insurance that they're offering us. There's some significant changes from perspective savings and so on for us, and at the end of the day, hopefully it'll put us on the new path here. The former insurance company that we had and the agent did a phenomenal job for us the last few years. What's good about doing it this way, obviously, is it does give us an opportunity for saving some money for the town long term. So I appreciate if Mr. Carl is on and wants to speak to us. Okay, can you get him on there?
Yeah, I have 2 possibilities.
Yeah, I'm on my
Hey,
cell.
There we go.
How you doing?
Buddy.
How you doing? So
Good,
hey,
and you?
Good. So I'm going to ask you under supervisor's report, just to kind of give a brief here on the insurance for the town for the coming year, and then also, and I mean brief, just a few minutes, and then we'll have we'll vote on the resolution, and under the question, board members may have specific questions of you. So I'll just turn the floor over to you at that point in time if they do have questions. Outside of that, we'll be voting on it hopefully and ending the meeting quickly here.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've all noticed the insurance premiums have gone up a lot from where we were a few years ago. Rotterdam has had terrible years for losses in 2018 and 2019 particularly. We suggest that the property loss, particularly at the Senior Citizen Center, was an anomaly and not likely to recur again. This cost is compounded by, at the beginning of this year, and before the COVID nightmare hit, insurance costs were going up substantially and commercially anyway, owing to frequency and severity of losses overall, shrinkage of capacity in the reinsurance markets, and the impact of the devastating California wildfires that are like last I looked was $50-some billion. So it's like essentially a double whammy. The insurance marketplace issues compounded by some tough years for losses. The company we have going forward, Atlantic Specialty, is an A+ rated carrier. They specialize in municipalities about the size of Rotterdam, fits them very well. They have enormous resources in loss control particularly. I know that Kate and Beth, and I think Steve, you are as well aware of some of the things they have. So the plan would be right after the first of the year, get us all together, launch, well, the obvious, how we do claims, all the rest of that. but outline going forward to get our losses down to a dull roar, particularly automobile losses. We're having too many accidents. So that's it in a nutshell. We're, of course, pleased to be working with our friends at the town. Again, there's a lot of work to be done. So with that, any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
All right, thank you, Mike. Thanks very much. So at this point, we'd like to have public comment privilege of the floor. Is there anyone that would like to speak on any topic? If you would state your name and address for the record. I'll give you approximately 4 minutes to speak, and I'll let you know when approximately a little after your 4 minutes is up. Is there anyone that would like to speak? You can unmute yourself. And
Yes, this is Mr. Godlewski,
sure, go ahead, Mr. Godlewski.
1046 Manus Drive. Mike Carl did a very nice job there, okay? He always does a good work, okay? One of the questions I have, and I'm looking at the attachment 1, and I heard him touch on the pandemic, but I know from a personal standpoint, believe it or not, this year I got a rebate on my automobile insurance because the rest of the country, nobody's traveling or anything. And the question that I have is this reduction based on the fact that we're not experiencing so many more claims? And is that what the reduction is based on? And I guess the point I'm getting at, does that mean the following year, hopefully, when we get back to a normal society, that we can anticipate these rates to go back up?
That's a good question.
Hey, Mike, if you don't mind, hold on to that. Hold on to that. We'll get to that if you don't mind under the question.
Okay.
With the other board.
Okay.
Is there anything else, Mr. Godlewski? That's a great question.
Yes, there is.
Go ahead.
Okay. We're starting a new year next year. Now, I didn't see this information again posted on the town website until 10 minutes before the meeting started. I've been purposely since 12 o'clock going in and out to look for it. Now, I know what I'm looking for, and I brought this up before. All right? I think, and I might be wrong, I heard the town attorney make the comment to Mr. Signor that she sent him that agenda on Tuesday night at 6:30. This document is dated December 11th. Why can't it be put on the same time you put the notice on for the special meeting? It's baffling to me why that's not done. I don't know what you're hiding. This is good. This isn't bad. You want the public to have time to digest this. And like I said, it's very frustrating because the only way we can get any information is electronically. And you have a responsibility to get that out. That's all I have to say, and I look forward to Mr. Carl's comments. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Happy New Year. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone else under public comment privilege of the floor this evening or this afternoon? Anyone else? Okay. No. All right. Then Ms. Marco, let's move into the resolution, please.
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into a contract for insurance coverage for the year 2021.
Okay. May I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
A motion by Mr. Christou. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay. Second by Mr. Signor. Anyone on the question? So on the question, Mike, would you mind just answering, obviously, Mr. Godlewski's question and anything else you might want to bring up prior to our vote?
Yeah, sure. The question concerning it, he's correct about personal insurance. People are driving less. Most insurance companies have given some discount this year owing to that. That's personal lines insurance. That's personal use of vehicles. Commercial insurance, which Rotterdam would be considered, not so. I mean, our police cars aren't driving or patrolling any less, to my knowledge, so that the over-the-road exposure is not diminished. The commercial automobile insurance in the state of New York, particularly, has been losing money overall for insurance companies for a number of years. So it's a good question, but I did preface my comments earlier by saying that these insurance increases were happening before the COVID-19 thing really exploded in March. This was happening early in the year, early January. My personal opinion is the costs are still way too high, and that Rotterdam can do a lot. You guys have heard me preach this ad nauseum over the years. The best way to control your cost is to control losses and claims. There's a lot to be done, and we have the resources with ourselves and U.S. Specialty to do so. So that should be a major focus and backed by management being the town board.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Carl?
Did this result in any changes to our deductibles? I know that that's been something we've had to work on with our budget and where we've had to set aside money for claims.
Yeah, well, we offered the RFP specifications called for a $50,000 per occurrence general liability deductible. They did not call for an auto liability deductible, though in 2020, the town of Rotterdam also had a $25,000 per claim automobile liability deductible, which was that was a very tough situation and a lot of exposure for automobile losses, particularly. We put together a proposal per specifications with a $50,000 general liability deductible, but also with a zero deductible for general liability. The thinking being that $50,000 is if there's no way of budgeting for the number of claims. If you look at your loss history for the last 5 years, I went back some 15 years and looked. There's a pattern of general liability losses, too many losses, and a lot of them, some things we can control, some things we can't. There's an open claim for $175,000 for a lady that is saying our Little League bleachers were defective, and that's in litigation. We do get a fair number of sewer backup claims. Most are resisted. But there is one open for, I think the reserve is it's $25,000 for a sewer backup. Some of those kind of claims, and fall down claims. We get fall down claims from the senior citizen center, and had one happily didn't turn into much of a claim with a lady that fell at the end of her driveway, and the allegation was that the street was defective there. But those are the kind of things that we need to be looking at, controlling and containing. And our recommendation was the zero deductible for general liability, because if you look at that in the pattern of claims for the last 5 years, that we are going to have those kind of claims. It's impossible to budget for it if we did get hit conceivably with 2 or 3 claims in the same year that were big ones. We could have an outlay of $150,000 and no way of budgeting for that. So we'd have to but anyway, that is our recommendation, is the zero deductible for the general liability going forward. And I submitted to Kate, and I'm sure she's copied yourselves on what those actual losses were. I'm more concerned with the number of losses. There's an axiom in insurance that that I've seen true over and over again, and it's this: frequency leads to severity, and you can see that kind of pattern.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Carl?
I would just note, Mike, if I could just follow up that, Mike had sent me an email in terms of getting together to then sort of come up with a aggressive strategy to try to mitigate future losses, in terms of training of employees. And I think that that's a wonderful idea. So I would encourage, each of you to kind of cycle through as it relates to some of those trainings or those meetings, because I think that ultimately, Mike was able to make this recommendation in terms of the $0 deductible, but otherwise, I think if you're unable to mitigate future claims significantly, I think that you will be back in that $50,000 per occurrence, per claim territory. And, sort of to Mike's point, and also to Sam's point, how would you continue to subsequently budget for that? I know each year through your budgetary process, you have discussions about how much is enough for contingency or how much is enough for this line. And I know that sometimes I jokingly say, well, it depends on really how lucky you feel or, what it is that you think your employees are really up to. But, in all seriousness, it really falls, I think, on us as management to have that, discussion and to provide whatever training people need in order to subsequently mitigate these claims.
Yeah, and we've had a number of new people join the town workforce in the past few years, especially. So, and while the former carrier did do quite a bit of that work, we're going to just step it up a little more in this next year in particular. So, anyone else on?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we have a list of the claims that have been submitted in the last year, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, there's a whole there's I'll call it a spreadsheet, a file on it that you can we can get it to you from upstairs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all there. Yeah, we have all the claims, and some of them have basically I'll call it the decision, or how it closed, the result. Others don't, because either they were dropped or whatever. But that information's all available.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are, like Mike says, because we're in the town, they're running a municipality, no different than, in a sense, running a business from the perspective that all, but for us, we don't just have one property. We're it's one business, and we've just got this one parking lot, and this, it's all the roads, all the properties. It's a much bigger array of potential liability and risk than someone who is just, than someone who's running a business. It's just a much broader piece. But with that, I'll just say this, and I'll stop talking and call for the vote, is that, with all the infrastructure work that we've been doing, with the upgrades for all the different things we've been working on, and that we'll continue to work on in the next few years that are coming here for the town, that a lot of these risks are mitigated by the work that we've been doing. So we just
absolutely agree to that. I've seen that.
So let's call. So we have a motion by Mr. Christou and a second by Mr. Signor. Is there anyone else on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you please call the roll for the vote?
Mr. Christou?
Yes.
Mr. Gittarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
And Mr. Tomazone?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay. Does anyone have anything this evening under committee reports or miscellaneous? Keep saying this evening. It's just habit. Well, hearing none, so I just want to wish everyone a happy New Year. Be safe, whatever you're doing. I won't tell you where I'm getting my food from tonight, but it's a local establishment near my home. And I am going to, looking forward to everything that the new year will bring. We have a new grandchild on the way. We have a lot to be thankful for. And I hope that this new year will bring us closer together. And in particular, since we haven't really been able to spend a lot of time, in person, that bothers me. I got to be honest with you, because I think that separation makes it more difficult for us to work together as closely as we need to. So with having said that, I wish you all a happy new year. I wish your families the best, and God bless all of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything.
Likewise, Steve.
Thank you. Happy New Year to all of you.
As well.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
Supervisor, I move to adjourn.
That was, so we have a motion for adjournment by Mr. Christou. Is there a second, Ms. Herrera?
Yes, I'll second.
Okay.
I
Anyone,
gotta get back to work.
I know, I understand. Anyone want to resist the adjournment? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, thank you all very much for taking this time, especially on the New Year's
Hey,
Eve.
Diane.
Yes,
before
dear.
you hang up, could you send, I have a big box full of toys for Toys and Tots here still.
Oh,
In my own ignorance, what happened is that nobody ever dropped off a box, but they found one down in my basement and they
I'm gonna
just
stop recording.